Take a walk with me. Stretch out this time and savor the moment. It's time for a red mage, blue mage extra turn, baby. Oh yeah. Good start.
Great start. I'm ready.
So, let's segue from that.
Speaking of acid, Modern Horizons is a trip!
No! Very nice. Yeah, we're in Modern Horizons spoiler season, and I thought we should talk about it because it's interesting. It's interesting what's going on.
Truth.
Last time we talked about Modern Horizons was ages ago when we were talking about Sarah Angel.
Wow, it's been 20 years.
So, spoiler season's underway for Modern Horizons. What do you think so far?
Well, first off, I have lots of questions. 1, what's modern? 2, I don't know anything about these, like, when things change over or rotate out of... I know there's standard, I know there's modern, I know that there's others.
Mm-hmm.
And they're broken up to categories, but I don't 100% understand how that all works exactly.
Sure. So standard is the rotating format.
Okay.
And they've changed that a few times over recent years. They've tried different things, but the basic story is like the 3 most recent sets, roughly, are legal and standard.
And by sets, do you mean like a core set and usually like the flavored one?
Yes.
Okay.
It's like the few most recent advanced expansions like that go to a particular world. So like Ravnica, Dominaria, all that stuff.
Okay.
And then also the most recent core set.
So how many times does a set come out? Like how often?
So like 3 times a year.
Okay. So
sets come out.
So basically does it do like a chain where it's like one set will move into and then the next new one comes out? Is that how they do it? Or is it like a 3 set thing?
I'll be honest on that one. Like, it's changed so much over the last few years, and I don't play standard that I don't know exactly what it is. Because for a while, they had it. It was a big thing while Kaladesh was out. Uh-huh. Kaladesh completely broke standard. They banned like 50 cards while Kaladesh was out. Mm-hmm. And it was compounded by the fact that they had just changed the rotation structure. Mm-hmm. And so Kaladesh was in standard for like 4 years or something ridiculous.
Okay.
And so they've reverted a lot of those changes, I think. Mm-hmm. But long story short, standard rotates fairly periodically.
So standard is, for my brain, just the most current 3 sets.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
And the advantage to having rotating sets is that you don't have to worry about the power just continually creeping up and up and up as you add more cards. And then modern is a non-rotating format. And it's called modern because the legal cards are cards that have the modern-looking card frames.
Okay. And when did the modern card frames switch over?
It was Mirrodin.
Okay.
So this goes back quite a long ways. Sure. And that's like, they chose that because it's like a nice rule of thumb. Mm-hmm. It's not actually the case that every card with a modern frame is legal. Like, stuff that comes out in Commander is not legal in modern. But that's just kind of a rough guideline, so you know roughly how far back you can go.
So have they done Commander-specific sets or like releases? Okay, cool.
So, I mean, like your Commander Precon deck is what I'm talking about.
Oh, gotcha. So but there's cards in there that are...
There are cards in there that are legal and modern, but there are also cards in there that are reprints from older or just completely new. Like Duretti is not legal in modern.
Well, no. Okay, gotcha.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Scrap Mastery is not legal in modern.
Okay. And so is there another set, like another bracket after modern? Like
yes.
So Legacy, after that, is it?
Legacy, yes. So actually, let me go one step past Legacy to explain Vintage. Vintage is every card. All Magic cards from the beginning of time. And they have some cards that are restricted, which means you cannot have, all their cards you can have up to 4 copies of. Mm-hmm. Restricted cards you can only have 1 copy of. And so those are things like Black Lotus, Ancestral Recall. So even in the Eternal format where you can play every card, like cards like the Power 9, you still can only have 1 copy of.
Okay. So Vintage, then Legacy.
And then Legacy is basically exactly the same thing, but you can't play a lot of those restricted cards at all.
Gotcha. And then so vintage, legacy,
modern,
standard.
Yes, those are kind of the big formats.
Okay.
And then you have other stuff as well, like Pauper and those kind of formats. But these are kind of the big formats that exist.
Sure. Gotcha. Okay, that was my
preliminary question.
Well, maybe my only question, but there we go. I've got that cleared up.
So the big idea with Modern Horizons is it's tough for the Eternal formats to get new cards because almost all of the cards that they make appear in new stuff that they want the new players to buy. They want new players at Friday Night Magic to be buying these packs of cards and these boxes of cards. And if you have cards that are like only good for this one purpose, then maybe new players won't buy them. But you can't really put them in like standard sets though, because if they're powerful enough to make a splash in Modern or Legacy or Vintage, they're probably too good for standard. Right. And so over the last few years, a lot of the cards that get printed and make a splash in the older formats are very niche cards. So you have things like Gitaxian Probe, which is 1 Phyrexian mana to look at a player's hand and draw a card. It wasn't insane in standard because it's so specific, but it was incredible in the older formats.
Right.
And so the good cards tended to be those, like very corner cases. And so Modern Horizons is an attempt to kind of address that problem and to shake up Modern in general by making a set that never hits standard. It's just for Modern and older.
That's kind of cool because I know that a lot of people really love standard right now. Like they keep saying it's like a very balanced. I don't play
same
a lot of standard at all. Like I haven't really, other than just like challenger decks or like casual like stuff. I've built a Modern deck and I mostly have been playing Commander. So
right. And as we've discussed previously, you have a Modern legal deck, but you have not built like a competitive Modern deck.
I'm building a Modern deck just because I needed something to like constrain me, and also just there's just so much more in Modern, obviously, that I can draw from, and I really wanted to make a crazy Goblin deck, so that's what I did.
Yeah, definitely.
And so now with Modern Horizons,
you got all kinds of
crazy goblins that I can add to my Modern deck that are great.
Modern Horizons has been very kind to goblins. There's also some crazy elves going on, an elf.
I've really only looked at the artifacts and goblins, so I really can't tell you much about anything else.
Well, there's a funny card that got spoiled today. It's called, so you know about Llanowar elves, right?
Yes.
So there's a card called Llanowar Tribe, and it's literally just 3 Llanowar elves shoved together. It costs green. It's a 3/3, and it taps to add 3 green mana.
3/3 for 3. That's funny.
I thought it was a funny card.
It's just made a Diglett or a Dugtrio.
Exactly. The art kind of looks like that too.
Are they mushed together? I'm not gonna look it up. Just describe it to me.
Okay, so there's 3 elves standing in a row, and it kind of looks like there's one elf who's in the foreground. The 2 behind him might be conjoined. It's hard to say. Don't know.
I hope they're all conjoined like vines.
But this kind of brings up and ties into another thing that's interesting about this set that I didn't realize until like spoiler season started, which is Mark Rosewater put out his article. He always puts them out whenever a new set is being spoiled, where it's like he kind of describes the process, the generation process behind the set. And he was talking about how this is like them trying to do what they did in Time Spiral, but do it right or do it better.
Do it better, probably better. So like take lessons learned from Time Spiral, apply it to Modern Horizons.
Right. And Time Spiral, it was a set that was built on nostalgia, right? It was built on callbacks to old cards. And the problem that they ran into, Aaron Forsyth has a great talk on this as well, it was just a lot of their references were just too inside baseball, so that you wouldn't enjoy the card unless you knew about that previous card, unless you knew some of that deep history back there.
Right.
And some of it was so inside baseball that even like enfranchised players had no idea what the fuck these cards are supposed to be referencing. And so I guess one of my questions for you is, looking through this spoiler, do you feel like lost looking at any of these cards, or are you just kind of like, oh yeah, this is cool?
Like from what aspect? From like a story, flavor, mechanics aspect, or what?
Either or.
I think because how I approach most things, which is blind, it doesn't really like...
It's not a big deal to you?
It's not a big deal to me. Like, even like coming back into Magic, it's like I knew the premise already. Even just like I played for what do I say, 2-3 years. To me, it's just yay more cards, and of course I'm going yay more goblins.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything that makes me go, oh, like Yawgmoth for instance. Like I didn't know that was like a thing,
a big deal.
A big deal. No, not at all. And I'm just like, oh, this guy's interesting. His stuff is cool.
He's cute.
Yeah, whatever. But it's a black card, so I didn't care that much. So
sure.
Red and artifacts. But so I guess I would say no. What was the question again?
I don't know what the question was, but no.
Like, you're saying if I'm feeling lost? No, yeah. I don't feel lost.
Well, I think Yawgmoth is a good example to point to, or Urza for that matter. It's like, if you don't know anything about these characters, they're just interesting, powerful, legendary creatures.
I mean, I know I did get angry about Sarah Angel in the past, but that was because I was just angry about Planeswalkers, and I was confused. So maybe if you had asked me 2 months ago when I got angry, hey, Amber, look at Modern Horizons, I would have been angry about Sarah Angel, which is because we knew the confusion was I thought Sarah Angel was just a creature.
Right.
Like, I thought Sarah Angel was just
Sarah
a thing.
Angel.
And not an angel of Sarah.
Right.
Or
Sarah's angel.
Pooh baby. But, like, yes.
As we've previously described. It is interesting. They are definitely leaning hard on, like, Sarah, Urza, Yawgmoth, these literally legendary characters that we know from the past, and finally giving them treatment on a card.
That's kind of cool, because I kind of, like I said before, or I'll say in the future episode, I knew the name of Yawgmoth, but I didn't know, like, that it had never been a card before or whatever.
And very nicely, like, if you look at, for example, Yawgmoth's card, and you know nothing about Yawgmoth's story, you will learn quite a bit about his character just from the card, the art, the abilities.
Yes.
He's a physician, you find out. He's a cleric. He has protection from humans, which is interesting.
Yeah, it's like, what? You're a human, dude.
Yeah.
For how long?
I was going to say, exactly right. And it tells you he's kind of a psychopath. He's sacrificing creatures to draw cards, so he's doing experiments. He's proliferating, so he's spreading...
Obviously a madman.
Disease. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So they do a good... I think they have done a better job in this time spiral, 2.0 or 3.0, of building cards that you don't have to know all the references to get stuff out of it. I did have another a question about a specific card for you.
Okay.
What do you think about the second 2-mana Planeswalker?
Oh, that one. Red and 6. Red and green. +1. Return up to 1 target land card from your graveyard to your hand. -1. Red and 6 deals 1 damage to any target. -7. You get an emblem with instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard have retrace. I don't know what retrace is.
So retrace means that you can cast it again from your graveyard by paying its cost and discarding a land.
Oh, that makes a lot of difference now with that +1.
Yes, exactly.
Interesting. So how do I feel about it?
Yeah, as the rival to the OG 2-mana Planeswalker Tibalt. I
mean, this is obviously a better card than Tibalt.
Not that was a high bar to clear.
No, it wasn't. So this is... I know that they've always talked about making a 2-mana cost. I don't know. It's interesting. I'd be interested in seeing what people do with it.
Yeah. I think one thing they've shown about 2-mana Planeswalkers is that they need to be narrow. Like, this card definitely cannot be slotted into any deck that can afford the mana for it. Like, it won't do anything a lot of the time. But I think, honestly, It's pretty cool to have a 2 mana, like just the -1 is kind of sweet actually.
Yeah.
Like 2 mana, 3 loyalty, -1, 1 damage to any target. Like that's it's better than a lot of Chandras have been there. If Wrenn and 6 didn't have any other abilities.
I'm more interested in what this melded tree fire elf is.
I agree completely. Who do you think is Wrenn and who do you think is 6? Because we should say it's called Wrenn and 6, and the Planeswalker has the type Wrenn. So Wrenn is the Planeswalker.
I want Wrenn to be the tree.
And 6 to be the...
just a Matrix human body that's been unplugged from the Matrix that's just slapped onto this tree. Just some... I don't know. I don't want the person, the obvious answer to be Wrenn is the person.
Right.
Fuck that. That's boring.
I kind of wish that, at the very least, I wish that the Planeswalker... I wish they were both the Planeswalker.
Yeah.
I almost guarantee that the humanoid
is
the Planeswalker.
What if the humanoid went to Planeswalk and Planeswalked into a tree?
And telefragged themselves into a tree?
Yes, exactly. And then also Nicol Bolas learned about that, and so now he's trying to do it with the Eldrazi.
Another piece of the puzzle falls into place.
They're hinting it. They're hinting at it.
Open your eyes, sheeple.
Yeah. Look, it's right there. Our first instance of a planes walked into another creature card. I'm telling you.
Wrenn and 6. The only converted mana cost that Nicol Bolas hasn't been as a Planeswalker yet. Coincidence?
I think not.
Or madness?
This has been Conspiracy Corner.
Oh, man. Okay, well, I just wanted to get our thoughts on the table about Modern Horizons and talk about a few cards, so that's good. Oh, I guess one other thing I think is funny, just as a last note here. Yes. There's a card called Fallen Shinobi, which is a zombie ninja, which has a prosthetic arm. That has to be a reference to Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice.
I wouldn't know anything about that, because I don't know video games.
You know what I'm talking about, Josh. Wink.
Stop winking at Josh! God!
Can't help it.
Gross.
Okay, so anything else for a wrap up? All right, sweet. Well, thanks for coming along on this extra turn with us, everybody. Say chain lightning.
Chain lightning?
No, do it.
What? Like what?
Chain lightning.
Okay, thanks. You did it for me, so I don't have to.
All right, you have to say time stop now.
Time stop.
Okay.
God, this is the worst way to end. We could never